Hey, Sarah, thanks for joining me today to chat about your career.
Of course.
Let's start off. I will just have you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get going with the questions.
Perfect. Yeah, my name is Sarah, and I'm one of the counselors at Lake Tahoe Community College. So yeah, I do academic advising. We'll get into a little bit to my background and education and all of that in the questions, but that's who I am.
All right, cool. Let's jump in. Talk to us about your path. What education got you to where you are? What past jobs have you had?
Yeah, so I right out of high school, I went to University, San Francisco State, as a declared psychology major. And I was at San Francisco State for about 2 years, and then I dropped out of school. I just was very burnt out and I needed a break. And so I dropped out and I moved back down to San Diego, where I'm from. And while I was out of school, I actually attended a Bible college at the church I was attending. And so I did that for 2 years. And then I decided I did want to go back to school. I thought I was going to do graphic design. So I was at San Diego City College for 1 year, fulfilling the rest of, as many lower division classes as possible. And then I transferred to Point Loma Nazarene University. And in the midst of that transfer process, I decided I wanted to go back to psychology. So I gave up the graphic design and graduated 2 years later from Point Loma Naz with a psychology bachelor's degree. And then I went straight to Azusa Pacific University and got my master's in clinical psychology, marriage and family therapy. So that was in 2014. I started college in 2005. So that's about 9 years of school altogether with that 2-year break. And it was fun. And so kind of in the midst of that, I guess job wise, I've had a ton of different jobs, mostly babysitting and nanny. That was like the one thing that kind of I had throughout my, even starting in high school and then all through college. When I was at San Francisco State, I actually worked at their community college, Skyline College, as a barista for 2 years. I did work as a graphic designer at my college at my church for about 4 or 5 years. So I was already kind of working in that graphic design work. I've worked in group homes, crisis homes. I was a vet tech for a little while. I worked in a carpet store as a front desk manager, and then private practice. I was a marriage and family therapist before moving to LTCC.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. So, are there any skills or personality traits that you think would be a good fit for your job? And what type of education is required to do what you do?
Yeah, so I'll start with the educational piece. In order to be a counselor in the California community college system, you need to have a master's degree in counseling or something related. So it could be psychology, it could be sociology, or social work. It could be, like mine is specifically marriage and family therapy, but it could also be school counseling. You just have to have a master's in something counseling related. And the reason why you need that education is because you learn the skills that you need in those master's programs. So talk a lot in the master programs about empathy, right? Being able to empathize, honing in on that skill is actually something that you can learn and develop, being able to listen, active listening, the nonverbal cues that people are sending you, being able to recognize those. And this job is very, very, for college counseling specifically, it's really practical. We definitely do a lot of personal counseling, but I think you have to be pretty organized and be a lifelong learner. I'm constantly learning new things and needing to update my skills and making sure I'm relevant and learning with the times. So I think that those things are really important. Being empathic, detail orientated or organized, good listener, good communicator, right? I have to explain a lot of things to students. And so being able to figure out where that student is at and communicating at that level and then helping them understand a pretty complex process. And then being a lifelong learner, continuing to develop and learn things along the way.
Great, thanks. What is a typical day like for you, if you have one?
Yeah, so typical day is usually I work, it's kind of an 8 to 5 job, and it's usually seeing students. So my day usually consists of a mix of answering a lot of emails, either from students or from people at the college who need some help and support from the counseling staff. So definitely, lots of emails and communication there, and then working with students. Students can come in from anything, maybe it's a 5 minute check-in. They just need a quick hold removed on their account, or it could be a full hour-long appointment where they're really trying to figure out, what are my career interests, or where should I transfer, or, what's the next step after LTCC. So definitely educational planning, looking to see, helping students reach their goals. So whatever that might look like for that student. So definitely a balance of seeing students, emails, other meetings and committee stuff. That's kind of a cool thing at the college that I didn't have in private practice as a marriage and family therapist is, working with the team to help make our college better every single day. So lots of committees. We have a shared governance on our college where, there's different committees and things that approve different things going on at our college. And then just organizing things. I am our lead counselor, so sometimes it's organizing meetings or making sure things are going smoothly. So that's kind of what the typical week would look like, right? Each day is a little bit different. Some days are all meetings, some days are all students. It just kind of depends.
Great. So talk to us a little bit about what your favorite thing about your job is and what the most challenging thing is about your job.
Yeah, my absolute favorite thing is definitely meeting with students. I've been asked a few different times, would you be interested in more of like higher leadership positions, which would pull me out of seeing students? And my answer is always no, because I want to make sure that I'm still seeing students on a regular basis. That is something that I love doing. I love helping students and encouraging them and walking with them through their journey. So that's definitely the best part. And then maybe the more challenging part is just working in a very large institution that's part of a very big system. It's hard to make quick change. I might have a great idea or something that I think would be so awesome to support service students, but there's so many other players on our campus that sometimes it's hard to kind of get that thought or that idea rolling, whereas in private practice, it's like, I want to do this thing and I'm my own boss and I do my own thing. Whereas at the college, you have to really consider, there's a lot of players, there's, a much bigger budget, a lot of things going on. So you can't, for me personally, it's harder to make those quick changes at a larger institution that I could make in a private practice setting.
Good answer. If you could go back and do it all over again, would you take the same career path or would you do things differently?
I think I would. It definitely got to my career. I don't plan on leaving this. I tell everyone this is my forever job. I see myself retiring from LTCC. So for the most part, I was pretty much on that psychology route my whole life. There was the brief year or two where I was like, I kind of wanted to do that graphic design stuff. And I was doing that, but I don't think I would change my career path. Even the drop out of college, that was what I needed at the time. I was burnt out and I wasn't getting the grades that I wanted or that I needed for grad school. And I didn't really know what I was doing. So I didn't have a lot of like passion or vision. I was just kind of doing what I had thought I would do since I was like in middle school, which was working with people. And so taking that break really helped me like recenter, grow up, get a little bit more mature. And then when I came back to school, it was like I had the passion, I got straight A's, like I was very motivated and excited. So I think even with that, I don't even think I would take back that little break. I think that was necessary for me. What was the other part of that question?
That was it.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. What advice do you have for somebody who would like to be a counselor?
Yeah. So I think the advice I would give to students who are thinking about moving into the counseling realm is to do the work yourself. So one of the best parts of my grad school program, hi Kitty, is just being able to So that part of my grad school program was we were required to do 40 hours of therapy ourselves.
Oh, wow.
And so doing the work ourselves, being able to process some of the stuff I've been through as a person and learn about my countertransference. Sometimes students come in and they've got a really bad attitude. And if I haven't done the work myself, I'm going to take that bad attitude really like personally, right? So if I'm doing the work and I'm taking care of myself, doing my own self-care, then I'm less likely to react when a student comes in and has a really bad attitude and maybe takes it out on me. I'm able to, so I think being able to work with people, I just think it's really important to do self-care, do the work yourself, whether that's therapy or, just reading really great self-help books and journaling a lot. I think that's essential in any counseling, whether it's private practice or college counseling, school counseling, working with people. You gotta make sure you're not taking that stuff personally when people bring in really hard stuff.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. So final question for you. If you could tell your 18-year-old self something about the path ahead, what would it be? Or what would you have wanted to know when you were a youngin'?
Yeah. When I first went to San Francisco State, 18 years old, and I had that psychology major, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a clinical psychologist. And the first year, my freshman year, one of the psychology professors, he's like, well, you need a master's degree or higher. And I was crushed because I didn't want to be in school that long. Like I told myself, okay, I'll go to a university, I'll get a bachelor's degree. But like I was so burnt out on school and just living a very busy life. And when he told me master's degree, I realized how long I was going to be in school, and that freaked me out. So advice I would give to myself is don't worry about the timeline. Like time goes by so fast, and I was so worried about like getting a career, and I almost limited myself to not getting a master's degree
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be in school any longer. But I wouldn't have been able to get a job without the master's degree.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like super important that like to like stick with it, and to know that there is an end in sight. I've been out of school since 2014, and it's definitely nice to be done and to graduate. So there is an end. And so I think for me, some advice is don't worry about the timeline. Also, don't really worry about the cost. Some advice that a professor had given me when I was in college was, the cost of school and the loans and all of that. She got a PhD at a private school, and she's like, I'm going to pay off my loans until I'm probably 50 or 60 years old. But I have the job that I love. She was a professor at a college. She was still able to provide for her family, own a house, take care of herself. She's like, it's just another payment, instead of maybe owning a brand new car, I buy a used car. And then my car payment is my college payment.
Yeah.
And so I really took that to heart and not being afraid of student loans. And so I have student loans, and there are lots of ways to work with those loans. I work for a public college, so there's some forgiveness after a certain amount of years and a certain amount of payments. And so, there's ways to work around it. I was able to buy my own house as a single woman, and I'm able to take care of myself. So I have a great job. So I think the timeline and the cost factors were really scary at 18. But if you just kind of, try and make the best decisions you can, don't give up, and then you'll get a good job in the end, so that you can pay back those loans and take care of yourself.
Yes. Great insight. All right. Well, thanks, Sarah. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it. If anyone ever has any questions, I'm on campus, and I'm happy to talk with you about career, or if you have any questions about becoming a counselor, I'm happy to chat with anybody. So just find me on campus.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nicole.